So, good evening, everyone. My name is Yusi Samuel, and I am the team lead for Lifepoint with Yusi. Lifepoint is a value-building, knowledge-based outfit that is solely interested in promoting family values and ensuring the total bliss and wholesomeness of family members. Tonight, as part of our program of having bi-weekly knowledge sharing sessions, we have yet another interesting topic to look at. This topic we have considered to be so apt and timely in a season like this when we are having a lot of festivities. And so we are expecting to connect with people, bond with them, even strangers you don't know, you'll get to meet them someday. And so we are looking at what we can do together as a family to keep ourselves together, keep the bonding, keep the energy together. You know, it's one thing to have visitors around you, it's another thing to be creative with how to engage them meaningfully and effectively too. So tonight we are hoping that by the time we're through with this session, we would have ideas on how best to harness the time, the space, the energy, the love, so that you don't waste them, and how best to probably come up with a central identity that you want your family to enjoy in seasons and even out of seasons. What are the things that you can do as traditions, as rituals, things you can do as reminders as a family, so much so that when family members are apart, these routines, these rituals, these traditions, keep putting them, bringing them back to you. Truly, home is where you go to. Home is not a place to actually visit. So when you have traversed the whole world, there should be a place that you call home. And so when you come there should be the things that keep you together. There should be memories of very sweet and pleasant things that you do, that when you are apart, those thoughts keep surging in your heart and want to bring you back to where you think and where you consider as home. So those things are the things that our facilitator, Oluchi Bosono, will be taking us through tonight. And hopefully there will be some things that will be dropping in your heart on how best to come up creatively with these things. And if you're already doing them, there could be lots of improvement on what you're doing, because sincerely, the bonding that keeps a home is truly what makes the hearts long to be with each other. And it's my prayer tonight that by the time we're through with this session, we would have learned how best to keep the family together, even when we are not physically in the same space. To look for things that will implant in the hearts of the children, in the hearts of the relatives, in the hearts of friends, that keeps bringing them together at a point towards you and towards where they have called home. So tonight, without wasting much of your time, I'll be bringing in our facilitator for tonight, Oluchi Bosono, to take us through this session. Oluchi, the stage is all yours. We're good to go. You're on
Can
now.
you see my screen now? We're
Yes.
good to go.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at the bonding power of family traditions. And somebody would say, why the bonding power of family traditions? And earlier on, as Yusi spoke, she talked about the season that we're in. But I'm going to bust some bubbles tonight as we go through this. And the first place I want to start with is that the family is the greatest nation or most important nation on the face of the earth. And somebody will say, why would you come with that? Well, our nation is the way it is today anywhere in the world because of the family. Yes, the meeting is being recorded. So our nation is the way it is anywhere in the world because of the family. And so for me and for many others who may share the same ideology, you would agree that the family is the most important nation on the earth. And I think that it should be the most important government that ever exists. Imagine the kind of people that we're churning out in society today. And if the family gets it right, we will have more wholesome people walking our streets, more wholesome people in parastatals and places of policy making and in government. We'll have more stable people navigating our paths. And what that will do to every one of us is that we'll be better off for it. And so for everyone listening to me tonight, I want to say that you are the candle that needs to be lit. And don't light your candle and put it under the bushel, because there is a reason why you are the candle that is set upon the hill, to be able to shine the light for others to come in, for others to walk the same path, and for our world to be beautiful. But why would we focus on family traditions? They are unifying threads. They bring us together, they bring a connection, they form a unique experience for each and every one of us. And I'm sure that the picture by the side can tell you what that is, where we're chattering and happy and there's exchange of communication, love, drinks, whatever it may be. But that is not the only place that it is. It's that the bonds for them, for us, and for everyone creates a strong sense of identity. So many people are lost because they don't even know what they stand for. And then, like Yusi began, she said, dealing with parents, many people would have gone through the day today and saying, I've had a long day, I'm not sure I'm ready to sit in for this. But that's where the problem begins. Because every time we think we've had a long day, every time we think we're too busy, then we don't stop to make the connections that truly, truly count. And so I will go on and try to look at those myths. What are the myths? What are the struggles that we have in being able to create family traditions in such a way that they become for us a bond? One of the things is that we talk about time constraints. This time, each and every one of us here has a 24-hour time. But then we can make it meaningful. And we will go in and find out how the little times of our day, it's not the length of time, but the quality of the time spent in those sessions. Oh, when we come together, there will be family conflict. Well, conflict will always happen as long as there is a relationship between you and I. Why? Because we're coming from different places. And even when we are birthed by the same parents, we were birthed in different seasons, under different circumstances, and are different personalities. So our personalities will come into play, and in that interplay will be conflict. But family traditions has a way of breaking down the conflict. Then we look at traditions must be grand. Whoever said that traditions must be grand? I've forgotten the name of the person who spoke, but he did make a quote that I have carried all through my life. He is richest whose pleasures are cheapest. And so I have learned over time that it's not in the money, in the amount, in how grand it is. It is how you make people feel in the course of life. What are you dropping on your path? What memories are you leaving behind? How do the people feel? Many times they don't remember what you say except for how what you said made them feel. They don't remember what you did except for how what you did made them feel. So what are we doing to ensure that we're doing this very well? And then I meant to say there is a time constraint in terms of generational gap. Traditions can evolve and can stay relevant. Many times we don't think we can adopt that. Many times we think, how do we bridge the gap between the generation before and the generation next? Well, there is always a way. There is a lack of interest. People don't show interest, so how would we do family traditions? Well, what is bringing about that? Because I want it to be my way or the highway. But if I ask you to bring in what you want to do and what I want to do, and then it will be a win-win situation, there surely will be a way out of it. And then you have that family traditions will happen only during the holidays. It's not just for the holidays. But why do we need to take care of family traditions? Why do we need to pay particular attention to it? And I put up a scripture here because I'm a Christian lady, and that is one thing that guides the principle. It says, these commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. It's not just about rules. It's not just about creating a legacy of love. It's not just about having your children become obedient to you. It's about creating a legacy of love and connection. So if you can't connect with me, do you think you will want to bond with me? And every time we look at a bonding process as a connection process, then we'll all be better off for it. And how do we do this? I have decided to use the acronym BONDS, from the bond or the power of bonding in growing family traditions. I keep seeing people say admit. Recall that where we're going to is that we're looking at the power of bonding in growing family traditions. With the bonding power of family traditions, or the power of bonding in growing family traditions. Okay? And so we go, and then you will see very seriously. And the only reason that there would need to be a bond is that it is actually the essence of family. The coming together of a family is a man and a woman coming together to do life together, right? And the bond must be there. You need to be intentional about growing the bond between yourself and your spouse, because that is what determines what happens even with the children. And it is in shared experiences. I remember going to the office, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, and something had happened in the morning. My husband had gone out to do something, and somehow we were unable to take a bath together. We usually will take a bath together every day, morning and night. And you would wonder, taking a bath? Yes, taking a bath is a tradition. And so that's why I was saying it's not about the grand things. It's about the little things that we do in the daily course of life. That taking a bath together, we will throw banters at one another. We will discuss our day. We will discuss our fears, our anxieties, and we're able to uphold one another. Can you imagine how that flows through to the children? So even this morning, I had a concern. We had shared it together, and I was saying, sweetheart, please help me bring the male perspective to this as you talk to our little son. But that will only happen because we have a place that is a regular bonding place. So bonding happens because we want to have shared experiences. Family traditions provide the essence of shared history and identity. How do your children know where they are coming from? How do they know their roots? How do you even understand the spouse and what had worked in their place, where he's coming from and where you are coming from, and what you want to uniquely build as a couple? Then it gives a sense of place. It creates a feeling of belonging. connection to something that is bigger than ourselves. So yesterday night, for instance, I came back from work and my husband was back before me, and dinner was ready and things needed to be done. And I was waiting for him. Why? Because we usually would also eat at least one meal a day together as long as we're in the same place. And so even though I was hungry, the fact that we're going to lose the gist in the course of the meal kept me waiting for him to finish what it was and come and have that meal with me. So what bonds are you creating? Excuse me. What experiences are you creating? How are you making your place a safe place for anyone to engage in? And then how do you connect to your roots? We didn't jump from the sky. We have an ancestry. And the knowledge of that ancestry is what helps us tell stories from one generation to the other. And if you will recall, in Jeremiah 35, the prophet was asked to go to the Rechabites and ask them to come into the temple and drink wine. And when the prophet brought them there with the cup and everything and the wine ready, he said, drink. He said, no, our forefathers said to us that we don't drink wine. We don't even build houses. We don't plant farms. Traditions help you communicate your value. And so what is the next thing that the tradition will do for you? It will create room for opportunities to connect with one another. Connection in such a way that is deep and meaningful. Connection that takes it away just from you. How do you know how your children's day went? So sometimes for those who may have little children or yet to have children, and you go on school runs, do you know that you can use your school run period as a time to connect? So tell me all about what happened today. Peace Ambassador is here, and I was having a chat with her yesterday, and she had gone on a school run, and all three children were all over her, trying to tell her about their day. And that hustle and bustle is where you get to know the meat of the matter. Is where you get to know if something has gone wrong. Is where you get to know if there is something that needs to be changed immediately. Sometimes we have lost out on it because we're waiting to get home, unpack the bags, put the things away, and try to get on to homework. And before you know it, the children are asleep, and you lost a vital part to find out what had happened in the day. Opportunities for connection, stretching on each other and throwing banters. I'm going to buy your house. I need to buy a hotel. I need to pay this money. Imagine what is happening in that space. You're seeing body languages. You're seeing who is infuriated that they are not winning. You are understanding what can get anybody off. And then there is fun and laughter in the mix. Now, it creates an opportunity for you to nurture values and relationships. What values do you hold? So in our home, we have a mission, and the mission statement says that we do whatever God says is right. So when you come to the point of correcting a child and connecting with that child, you are asking, this thing that has happened, how does it fit into our mission? And so in those places, you have room to be able to show gratitude, to provide love, and to provide support. We have a tagline that says, our family is where life starts and love never ends. And in this home, you know no shame. And when that is reiterated at different points in time, as you give the hugs and give the pats on the back and say, well done, then you begin to take away from people the need to feel ashamed or to do beyond themselves. You give room for people to be at liberty to truly show up as authentic as they can be. In nurturing values and relationships, you define the identity. You define who you truly are, what you really represent, and where you are going to as a people. It helps you to grow beautiful, long-lasting relationships that become support systems in times of turbulence. Because every family will have a season of shaking. When it will happen is what we may not be able to determine. But whether it will happen, it sure will happen. And then it always gives a sense of purpose when you know why you do the things that you do and why you connect the way you do. And so some of these small traditions are things like birthdays. As a growing child, I remember my dad waking up maybe as early as 4 a.m. and putting on a music on your birthday, and you hear, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Many blessings for your blessings and your happiness too. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. He comes and pulls you off the bed from your feet. And you look forward to that simple tradition. You see that family traditions don't have to be anything expensive and grand. They can be simple, but they communicate worth. They communicate value to the person that you're doing it. And on such days, my mommy will bake and cook. And if anybody remembered it was your birthday, saying that happens now, and you can imagine how precious that tradition of just making you feel like a queen did not require a validation from anybody outside. Did not require that anything be done that would dampen your self-esteem, because you have already been celebrated in that unique way. 2 days ago was my niece's birthday, and she turned 9. And when I was chatting with my sister, she said she woke up in the morning. They usually have a birthday badge, and she put the badge on her nightwear, and then went on and turned on the song she wanted to dance to, and she began to dance to it and have a lovely day. There wasn't a party that was held. But you know, my sister said she learned a lesson. My sister was at work on that day, and so to cut her cake, they had to wait for her to come in, and then they could do their family thing together. And she sat with her daughter and said to her, I admire the fact that you weren't even waiting for me to come and put on the birthday badge. You already understood what we do on birthdays, and you put the badge on yourself, the birthday girl. And you went and turned up the music you wanted to listen to, and you began to have your day the way you wanted it and showed up the way you wanted it. That is the impact of having family traditions. I recall that my mom said on my first birthday, she had baked a cake, they couldn't afford it, and just got Smarties and poured on top of the cake and used a decoration as the side, to mask that it wasn't an icing. And got some drinks and put by the side, and got children in the neighborhood to come and share on my first birthday. And my father was saying, what birthday? But by the time he walked in and saw the fun that was happening there, that was how the family tradition was created, where birthdays were no longer trivialized. When my husband was courting me, just before we would get married, I baked him a cake. And on it was a white and blue cake, and on it was written the best of the best. He came visiting. He carried it like he was carrying a precious gift, and said he was going back to his station with it, because this was the first time he was ever having a birthday cake all to himself. Now, on birthdays in my home, you need to see my husband on his birthday, smiling from ear to ear like a little baby, wanting to pick on the icing and pull on it. And we're throwing banters and laughing, and we haven't broken the bank. How many of us have stopped ourselves from truly enjoying life because we're waiting for the big things to happen? Family traditions give you a sense of purpose. Now, what else do? They develop for us resilience through diverse celebrations. If you look to the right, you will see the picture there where there is the husband, the wife, and the children cooking together. So it's as easy as saying, let's cook a meal together. And I'm deliberate about this. I am a mother of 3 boys. And somewhere along the line, I had an accident that kept me away from the home for 2.5 months, hospitalized because I was shot by robbers. Imagine that those boys had not learned to make their sandwich, to cook, to make a sauce that they could eat with. We think that family traditions is just about throwing the banters, but you are developing skills that are life transforming in your children. You are helping them to become adaptable to situations and to fit into changing circumstances as the needs arise. So imagine that woman sitting there and stirring the pot falls ill tomorrow and the husband is not around. Those girls will be able to put 1 or 2 things together, give mommy something to eat, and they won't starve to death. Why? Because we're doing it as fun and getting on with it. Sometimes, I know there are washing machines and all of that now. We've come into that time. But is there also a possibility that once in a blue moon, you can bring your children together and say, let's sit out. Let's do it the old way. Let's sort out the whites and sort out the blues and wash with our hands and throw the banters and just chatter away. And you're wondering what it is that you're developing. What happens if your child finds themselves in a remote place? God forbid isn't a strategy. The strategy that we need is to use family traditions to build in our children resilience. Now, what else does it do? It enhances cultural diversity. What if your children marry people who are not of the same tribe? When you bring the traditions, when you come to a family dinner, for instance, would you only make your meal? Or would you make the meal for the aged, for the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas? And would you make the meal for those of us who are transitioning? Would you be able to taste the meal of the Yoruba man, of the Asian man? Do you understand what I'm saying? Those things bring a cohesion that are life transforming, and in turn teach our children how to adapt themselves wherever they find themselves. So some people are thrown for youth service and don't know what to do with their lives or how to cope, because we have been finicky about what they eat and how they eat it. But sometimes you can say, today we're going to try a different kind of menu, and everybody looks forward to it. Family traditions will increase for us shared memories and stability. It brings us to a place of a common ground. There was a saying my mom said the Yorubas would wear ashwebi, that has become bastardized today. But the reason the ashwebi began was it was supposed to be a leveler. You don't know who has money and who doesn't have within a family when they come for a function. It gives us the opportunity to share our stories and to share them and pass them from one generation to the other. So, dear people, are you seeing the things that you can do together? That family traditions will empower us to embrace the legacy that we want to leave for generations yet unborn. Because they are the foundations of love, of connection, of resilience, and it strengthens the families for generations to come. They weave for us a beautiful tapestry of shared memories and experiences, and it makes us look like we have won a laurel. How beautiful it is when you come out on a Saturday morning and say, okay, we're going to dance together to a music as we shake our body and try to do some exercises. I have brought it to the everyday mundane things that we take for granted. And I'm hoping that anyone listening to me today will be so focused on sharing memories that you don't look back tomorrow and regret that you didn't make the most of your time, either because you were waiting for that big money to come, you were waiting to take that vacation out of the place, whereas what you are looking for in Sokoto is right here inside your Sokoto, just inside your place. Sometimes it is, let's do Boli, and you'd find stones and things and try to teach your children this is how they light a match and use charcoal and all of that. Because even the white people go camping, right? And they light a fire by striking the stones together. You think that they are just playing, but in that play and in that fun, resilience is built, skills are built, and people are taught to be adaptable through every season of life. People, there will be seasons of life. The only thing that are dear to our hearts, that will never be expunged from our hearts, are the memories that we make. Take the time to make those memories. Take time to ask yourself the question. And as I come to a close tonight, I'm asking you, what's the one small tradition that you can start or enhance this week and in this season? It's a season. What are you doing? Sometimes people don't even know what to do. Here I am. I have sent messages to my boys and said, what do you want us to do today? You can't imagine that my eldest son, who is 24, is saying, we will do a banter with paint. Daddy and I on one side, mommy, the second and the third on the other side, and we'll do a competition. Now, when you get the children involved, where they say the things they want to do, it also gives you room to say what you want to do and to pass on the values that you want to send to them and create in their lives. One of the things we do as a people, even reading together, can be extraordinary. You can't imagine what it is when I carry a book and I'm reading and my husband has his head on my laps and waiting for me to read. But it's a tradition, but at the same time, if there are values I think we need to inculcate in our family, if there's something he has found somewhere, he brings the book and he says, give this book to me. We're reading it, but we're passing messages across to one another. It could be movie nights, and you can make popcorn with your pots and butter and a little salt and sugar, and you shake it, and you've had fun, and there is movie night. In fact, sometimes when we're unable to go to the movies, my boys will get a dark colored bed sheet, hang it up somewhere, and make their dad buy a projector, and we turn the house into like a movie center away from the TV, so that we have a larger wall to view the screen on. What can you begin to do where you are today that will not make you break the bank, but will make you leave indelible marks and legacies for generations yet unborn? This is my challenge to everyone today. That you see these people, they're coming out and they're dancing. Could it be in the neighborhood? You come out and you draw that thing they call swell. Is it swell or sway? I think we used to call it sway when we were growing. And we throw, and then when you throw, you jump on one leg and jump on one leg. But you are having fun, inexpensive, but you're making impact. What impact do you want to leave for your children and the generations coming behind? That will be my challenge to you all tonight. Create family traditions. They are amazing, they are life transforming, and they give you room to pass on the values that you believe in a non-confrontational manner, laughing, having fun, and yet making impact. God bless you all.
Amazing delivery, amazing presentation tonight. Honestly speaking, this is just spot on. Thank you, Oluchi. I'm very sure that the way I'm feeling is the way majority of the people on the call tonight is feeling. You just held us spellbound from beginning, from start to finish, and it's a huge lesson tonight. You are a huge lesson. Thank you for breaking it this is a topic and you brought it and simplified it to the point that everybody would have something to pick. Yes, Peace is saying amazing. Yes, it's really amazing. It was a brilliant delivery tonight. I'm sure everybody picked a piece of something to take home. Yes, very relatable session indeed, and very impactful. The fact that you simplified the topic to the point that everybody picked a piece of what to do. That is much, much of a blessing. God bless you. So at this point, we are entering into our Q&A. I decided not to bother people from dropping questions because this is a topic that is supposed to be relatable, in the sense that it has to do somehow with your specificity, what you can do with your family per time and where you have found yourselves. So if you have something in mind that you would want to ask or be clear about, this is a good time to ask your question on how you can go about this, or any thoughts in terms of challenges, because I think that's where she even started. The challenges that militate against people trying to come up with family traditions. This is also a good time to ask her the questions. But while you come up with your question, you can either have a raise of hand with the icon and unmute to ask your questions. And if you don't want to ask, you can put the question down in the chat box and we can pick it up from there. So while you're coming up with your question, let me ask this question to our facilitator tonight, Oluchi. So it's amazing to have children, especially when they are young, to do some of these things. Easily you get them because one, they are younger, and so you have them almost with you at the same time. So how can you assist a family where probably most of them have crossed over 20 years and they're now probably scattered in different countries, either because of their academic pursuit or career pursuit, and they still want to keep holding the family together? What kind of suggestion would you come up with for a family at this season of their life, so that they don't lose out in their family tradition too?
Okay, you recall that I said that family traditions should be adaptable and should evolve. So now we're in the tech stage. What is wrong with having a family meeting and agreeing on a time when you can all meet and a Zoom meeting is set up and everybody from wherever they are can still meet and still be able to play games, throw banters? Last Christmas, I had my sisters on, and we are all in different parts of the world, but we played games on Zoom. We competed against each other. We threw banters at one another. We had so much fun. So technology is here to help us. We just need to open up our hearts. And if we're talking of such younger people, why don't you throw it to them and say, organize a way that, so the thing that many of us are missing out on is the ability to get the younger generation involved. We want to run it from start to finish, and that's where we meet the resistance. But when you throw it to them and say, what do you think we can do together as a family? How do you think we can drive it? They begin to drive the stuff. Last year, for instance, I had talked about trying to have a family picture together because the boys are all leaving. And, they are at that point where you're not sure when they'll be coming back and how they'll be coming back.
Yes.
Somehow it didn't happen. So the youngest one is home, and I approached him. I said, if everybody makes it back this Christmas, I really, really would love to have a family picture. Is it something you think you buy into? He said, oh, yes. Do you know, I sold that to him, and he has gone to his brother's forum and has become their advocate and gotten all of them in. So it's not going to be a struggle. We struggle because we don't know when to back off. We should know when to give somebody else the leadership of what do we do here, and that person is piloting it. The other thing is to look out for where the children are differently graced and give them assignments in their areas of graces and watch them hold everybody spellbound.
Beautiful. So first and foremost, we should leverage on technology to run things when we are no longer together in the same physical space. And then also to be able to discover where the children are gifted and probably utilize those areas of their giftings to assist everyone, just like the Bible says, for the common good of all. And I think that's a beautiful thing to do, especially as parents. It would help, one, for you to also relax with your spouse and probably see what you have invested for over 18, 20, 22 years. And I know there's a kind of joy that comes with such. Thank you very much for excellently answering that question. We have another question in the chat box. It's saying, how do you create family tradition when the other spouse doesn't have interest in it?
Okay. So it may not be a lack of interest. It may just be that they don't even understand what it is. And I don't know at what point you came in, Esther, but one of the things I said was, on my first birthday, for instance, my mommy already had an idea of what birthdays should be like. And when she was talking about it, of course, it wasn't in my father's radar. It wasn't something he had experienced. And so she didn't let that deter her. She baked the cake with what she had, got Smarties and poured on it because she couldn't ice it, got paper decorations and pinned it to the cake by the side, and bought a few drinks here and there and put it. And by the time the man came home and found children running from one corner to the other, he was thrilled. And so now he's the champion. You need to see my father, almost like the way my husband smiles from ear to ear. Miss his birthday and there's trouble. In fact, on his birthday, he's the best dressed. He's ready for all the pictures. And so the thing is, believe in what it is that you want to do. Don't force it on your spouse. Do it lovingly. I gave an example. There are books sometimes that I want us to read as a couple, and I don't know when my husband is going to make the time to read it. What do I do at bedtime? Darling, can I read a chapter to you? Because he likes to listen to my voice. I read it, but I know where I'm going to. I'm reading it, and now it is something he wants to happen a lot more often. Sometimes we're taking a drive, and I say, oh, I stumbled on this very thing. Can I share? Sometimes I just share by reading the introduction, and then I keep quiet for like 5-10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you hear him say, why did you stop? Keep reading. So you just do. So we must be careful about how we manage knowledge. There is a way we manage knowledge that pops up and it becomes a deterrent to the spouse. And yet there is a way we do it and everyone sees that, man, there's fun in this thing. This girl is having her fun. Let me come and catch the fun. Something that happens on my birthday, I want to dance. I have a music I want to dance to and I'm dancing. If you go and look me up on Facebook, you will find a number of dance videos with my husband. And many people have asked me, oh, Luchi, how did you get him to do that? Because I was just having my fun. And then you come and tell me I have 2 left legs. Let him show me that he's an okoso. Let him show me how to dance. And you don't, because you are enjoying yourself and not beefing anybody in it, they now want to come into that space and enjoy what it is you are enjoying. So we must also apply wisdom in dealing with our spouses because there is a place that they are coming from and there is a different beauty that you want to build. It is with wisdom that a house is built.
Thank you very much. You have done justice to that question, and I think Esther must have gotten something. And just to chip into that, for those of them who know my husband, and I think a lot of men do that too. They are kind of camera shy. Some of them don't like taking pictures when you call them to take pictures. So I love to, because I love to create memories. So it's just about what you mentioned here. You don't allow that to deter you. Because initially it was getting to me like, why would I want to snap pictures after church or anything? He wouldn't want to join. At the beginning it was much of a struggle. But after a while, I said, no, I won't allow this deter me because this is what I love. I love to have memories. I love to sit down 1 year, 6 months, 3 months to look at how I was and the situation that warranted me to do that. And before you know it, once in a while, he pops into the picture, okay? And then sometimes you say, your mommy never take picture today. I'll be like, we're waiting for you. And you could just see him breathing and take. So it's just about what you said, the consistency of going on with what you know, enjoying it, and then they see the beauty in what you are doing, that you are enjoying it without beefing anybody, without being judgmental or sentimental that, oh, you didn't join me. In the end, you get to win the person over. I think that's how it happens. So thank you for that. And just to validate what you have said, that I had experienced that. Thank you so much. So I don't know if we have another question or if someone wants to unmute to ask. Why I'm saying this is because sometimes also, Olichi, in our journey of parenting, sometimes you get to have people who are not basically with you in the home. For instance, visitors, or even sometimes cousin is bringing somebody else. So in that kind of situation, in that kind of scenario, it's a bit not as easy as you're saying it, because these ones are people you have raised, people you have given birth to, so they understand the language, the family language. So what happens where you have strangers or people who have not been part of your home? Are there strategies or what you can do to inculcate them into that vision of the family within that period of time that they're with you, that they don't distort the schedule, the normal schedule of your family? Because usually it can be unsettling when you have people come into the home. So I just thought about that, and I think it's a relatable question for most of us.
When they come into the home, involve them. There's a meal to cook. Hey, sweetie, you want to give me a helping hand here? And they're cooking. Now, what they want to look at is your response to them. How are you inviting them to join the party? Are you inviting them like you're saying, this is my home? It's your home. It's not in contention. But I can come into your home and be seated on the edge of the chair. Or I can come into your home and recline because of the ambience therein. So the question is, when your heart overflows with love, people will come along. It's in the approach, is in the response, is in the little things that you do. When, for instance, even a security man, you pass him by and you say, your face is not bright today, what's wrong? That's your gate man.
Yeah.
The thoughtfulness to it helps the person understand. A smile naturally begets a smile. Have you noticed that?
That's true. That's true.
It's in the approach. It's in the way. So somebody comes into the home. What are you doing seated there? Come now, come and give me a helping hand. Don't you know the more the merrier? The person will feel out of sorts to join in that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think it's the approach that we go with it, and that you're not making a force and causing the environment to be tense, and then everybody doesn't know how they fit in.
But rather giving a sense of belonging to the person.
Yes, give a sense of belonging.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I know that we have learned so much about this topic. Honestly speaking, the fact that you were able to simplify this again, is making us see it in a different light. And in the end, your values, your family values are being driven in the vehicle of all of this with ease. That's the beautiful thing about it, with ease. Because if your family value, probably, for example, if love is your family value, if fun is your family value, if responsibility is your family value, you would see that there is this level of ease that comes with it in the midst of all of these activities, in the midst of all of these plans that we are making to say, oh, can we have a family picture? Can we eat out today? Can we dance? And by the way, as a young girl, my mother was such a good dancer. So she would call us Saturday mornings, especially when you're done with your chores, to come and dance. Now I'm going to somewhere briefly. So I look forward to it because you needed to finish your chores to be able to be part of that. And today is dance is one of the things that it comes natural, but that's where it started. I didn't go to any dancing school. I didn't go to train any, but because of that consistency of dancing with her, we picked it up, myself and my brother, you know. So I think it's something beautiful that you do without knowing, yet you are planting something great in the lives of your children and family members.
You just said something that struck me. In our home, even now, I still have cardboards, crayons, pencils, and all of that, even now. And I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago that our first son was talking to his dad and said he was invited for an interview he did not apply for. And part of the interview was, how did he get into studying architecture? And he said, it's my mom. She just used to have cardboards and crayons and everything everywhere. And on anybody's birthday, you would need to make a card. And no matter how that card turned out, she displayed it. And then she has a drawer where she packs all those cards. And he says, and if you go to his social media handle, you see where he wrote, it all started with a card. And so sometimes we don't even know how life transforming the things we are doing are taking place. What impact, what it may influence tomorrow, what decisions the children or the people that come around you are taking from there. And my husband said, Che, he said, I told them how you raised hell when I said it was architecture and not engineering. But you need to see that child today. He loves what he does. But it only began with a card. And even for me as a person, we paint, we color. So I still have coloring books, even the coloring books that you give to 1 year, 2-year-olds, because for me, it is a stress reliever. So sometimes when we have downtimes, come, let's color. Let's see who can color better than the other, who is not coloring outside the lines and all of that. And you can't imagine what it does to anybody. So yes. I still remain that it is in the small and ordinary things that we so often overlook and take for granted.
You're right. Thank you so much. It's been a 1 hour that was effectively and maximally utilized. Thank you so much. I want to especially thank everyone on the call, because without you, this meeting wouldn't be. And like I said at the beginning, you still found time to be here, especially if you are the West African region where we are reclining for the day. So thank you very much that after the whole day's work, you still gave this a try. So that means that you're a person of value and you love family. So we celebrate that big here. And a special thank you to our facilitator. And I want to thank you once again, everyone, for coming. And just to let you know that Lifepoint has a platform, and this platform is basically to keep nurturing family values that we know would help you and your family transform your relationship, and transform the family. And what does that mean? It means we're going to have a saner society. It also means that all the things that you have been having in your heart to achieve as a young man, as a young woman, this is the best time to do it, which is your home. Once you win your home, you have won a lot. So thank you so much for coming. We are grateful.